Let's go line by line, she said. Page 1. A list of speaking engagements Owens had taken part in over the last 4 years, several which were directly sponsored by organizations with ties to authoritarian regimes. Jasmine read aloud the name of one such group, a European nationalist think tank with a documented history of supporting anti-immigration policies and anti-black propaganda. You sat on their panel, Jasmine pointed out, while they praised policies that would strip civil rights from the very communities you claim to represent. Candace tried to interject again, this time more forcefully. That's a gross mischaracterization, she said. I speak where I'm invited, and I tell my truth. That doesn't make me a foreign agent. But Jasmine was ready for that excuse. You weren't just invited, she responded. You were paid, handsomely. And the organizations footing the bill don't just disagree with American values. They actively undermine them. She continued, flipping through the folder. Page 2. Documented financial disclosures showing contributions to foundations Owens is affiliated with, contributions coming from lobbying groups connected to Eastern European regimes known for their anti-democracy stances. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are financial disclosures required by law, Jasmine stated. So either you didn't know who was paying you or you didn't care. Which one is it? The host tried to steer the conversation back to civility, but the moment had already shifted. This wasn't a shouting match. This was a courtroom of public opinion, and Jasmine was presenting Exhibit A, B, and C. The audience, both in studio and online, could see the power dynamics shifting. Candace attempted one more dodge. What about the left taking money from George Soros or the CCP? Are we going to talk about that? But Jasmine shut it down immediately. I'm not here to defend anyone else's wrongdoings. I'm here because you came on this show to act like a patriot while hiding the fact that you've been working with foreign-funded organizations. That's not patriotism. That's propaganda for hire. That line hit like a hammer. The studio was dead silent. You could feel the weight of the moment. Crockett wasn't just fighting back. She was holding Owens accountable in real time, and the audience was witnessing a takedown unlike anything they'd seen before. Jasmine wasn't finished. Page 3, a video clip from an international policy summit Candace had attended 2 years earlier, where she appeared on a panel that openly mocked the Black Lives Matter movement and praised traditional cultural hierarchies. Jasmine played a segment of the video right there in the studio. Owens, smiling, nodding along as one panelist called civil rights protests in America an embarrassing phase. Jasmine let the video end before speaking again. You sat there while they called the struggle of your own people embarrassing, and you said nothing because you were being paid to sit there. Candace's composure cracked. She tried to call the clip out of context, but it was too late. The clip had already gone viral. The receipts had already been seen. And that's when Jasmine delivered a line that would dominate headlines for the next 48 hours. America doesn't need puppets with polished speeches. We need leaders who won't sell their platform to the highest foreign bidder. At that point, even some of Candace's usual supporters began shifting uncomfortably. The backlash online wasn't just from progressives. It was from independents, centrists, even a few conservatives who demanded answers about her affiliations. It wasn't just a bad look. It was a credibility crisis. Candace, in desperation, shifted into defense mode, repeating buzzwords like cancel culture and smear campaign, hoping to distract from the documents being held up just feet from her face. But the damage was already done. Jasmine had come prepared, and she wasn't playing games. She turned to the audience once more. You can scream about cancel culture all day, but you can't cancel the truth. And that's what this is about, the truth. And as she said it, the chat flooded with comments. Jasmine for president. She brought the facts, not feelings. This isn't even a debate, this is a lesson. This wasn't just political theater. It was a masterclass in accountability. And as the segment closed, one thing was clear. Candace Owens had walked in with her brand intact and walked out with her credibility shattered. And Jasmine? She wasn't done yet. You're not going to gaslight me on live TV. By this point in the broadcast, the tension was more than visible. It was palpable. Jasmine Crockett had landed blow after blow, calmly and clearly, armed with documents, receipts, and an unshakable presence. But it wasn't just the facts shaking the room. It was Candace Owens' response. Or rather, the lack of a stable one. What began as her usual confident tone had started to wobble. You could hear it in her voice, see it in her body language. She was flustered, thrown off, unsure what to say next. As Jasmine turned the focus back to the real issue, Candace's affiliations with foreign-backed groups, Candace resorted to an old playbook, distraction and volume. She raised her voice. "You're twisting everything. This is why nobody trusts the left. You take a few speaking engagements and make it sound like I'm some kind of traitor. Meanwhile, the left is..." But Jasmine didn't let her finish. "You're not going to gaslight me on live TV," she said firmly. "And you're not going to distract the audience from the facts. You align yourself with foreign organizations that promote hate. That's the issue, not your feelings about Democrats." It was a moment of stunning clarity. And Owens, caught in a spiral, began to lash out. "You want to act like you're the voice of Black America, but all you do is parrot talking points of the far-left elite," she shouted. "I've been on the ground, speaking truth to power, and you..." Crockett cut in again, her tone composed and devastating. "Truth to power? Candace, you've been paid to speak on platforms that call Black activism terrorism. You've smiled while regimes with blood on their hands praised you, and you call that truth. The audience didn't need a cue. The silence was enough to confirm it. Candace had lost the room. In a last-ditch effort to control the situation, Owens shifted into what some viewers immediately recognized as projection. "I get it," she snapped. "This is personal. You don't like that I'm successful. You're threatened because I don't fit your mold of what a Black woman in politics should be." But that only gave Jasmine more fire to work with. "No," she responded coolly. "What threatens me, what should threaten every American, is someone who uses their platform to uplift people who want to divide this country. You can wear whatever suit you want, but if you're doing the bidding of foreign interests, you are not a patriot." Owens went silent again, blinking hard, searching for a comeback that wouldn't make things worse. But the truth was, she had run out of talking points. What was left was emotion, bluster, and noise. And none of it could counter the factual evidence laid out just minutes earlier. The host attempted to mediate, suggesting they both dial it down, but it was obvious to everyone watching. Only one person in the room had lost control. And social media? It was already writing the headlines. Candace Owens' meltdown. Jasmine Crockett holds the line. Owens exposed live. Clips of the exchange flooded timelines across platforms. Dozens of media personalities, influencers, and journalists began weighing in. One tweet summed it up perfectly. This wasn't a debate. Jasmine Crockett just deconstructed Candace Owens live on air. Meanwhile, Jasmine didn't break a sweat. She simply folded the documents, placed them back in the folder, and said, "If you'd like to respond with documents of your own, I'll wait. But until then, your yelling isn't going to cover the facts." Candace had nothing to give in return. No documents. No counterproof. Only accusations, buzzwords, and deflection. This wasn't just a personal defeat. It was a strategic unraveling, one that millions had witnessed in real time. The narrative that Candace had carefully built around her brand, strong, sharp, untouchable, had cracked. And the more she spoke, the wider the crack grew. By the end of the segment, it wasn't about ideology anymore. It wasn't about conservative versus liberal. It was about one thing, accountability. And as Jasmine Crockett sat back, calm and composed, the message was loud and clear. No matter how loud someone yells, they can't drown out the truth. You've been weaponized, and you don't even know it. The tension had already reached boiling point. Candace Owens had gone from dominant to defensive. Her voice, once so full of fire, had lost its edge. Her rebuttals had turned into deflections. Her posture betrayed frustration. But Representative Jasmine Crockett wasn't slowing down. In fact, she was just getting warmed up. After dismantling Candace with facts, financial disclosures, and video evidence, Jasmine let the moment breathe. She paused, looked straight at the host, then turned back to Owens, and with precise control, she delivered the line that would echo far beyond that studio. "You've been weaponized," she said, her voice low and deliberate, "and you don't even know it." The studio fell silent again. But it wasn't the awkward silence of confusion. It was a heavy, stunned quiet of realization. Jasmine had cut past the noise, past the arguments, and gone straight to the core. She wasn't just calling Candace out. She was exposing the entire machine behind her. "You think you're standing on your own 2 feet," Jasmine continued, "but the ground you're standing on was built by people who want to use you as a symbol. Not because they agree with you, not because they believe in your mission, but because you're useful to their agenda, an agenda that doesn't include black empowerment, civil rights, or even democracy." Candace's face tensed. She looked as if she wanted to interrupt, but couldn't. Not this time. Not after everything that had been revealed. Because Jasmine wasn't arguing anymore. She was explaining. She laid it out plainly. How Owens had appeared on platforms sponsored by regimes hostile to civil liberties. How she had accepted speaking fees from organizations notorious for pushing anti-black rhetoric in their home countries. How her media appearances were then clipped and distributed as proof that even black Americans support authoritarian systems. "You have been their favorite tool," Jasmine said, "because you speak their message with your face. That's not influence. That's exploitation." The message was clear. Candace wasn't just compromised. She was being used. And Jasmine wasn't saying it to embarrass her. She was saying it to alert the country. This was no longer about a televised argument. This was about revealing how foreign interests manipulate public figures to disrupt the American conversation. The host, clearly shaken by the direction the discussion had taken, asked Jasmine to clarify what she meant. And she did with brutal clarity. "These people don't need to buy an army," she said. "They don't need tanks or bombs. They need microphones. They need trusted faces. People who will say exactly what they want America to hear, even if those words rip this country apart from the inside. And Candace Owens, you've given them that." Candace, now visibly shaken, tried to speak. "You're trying to make me out to be a villain for telling the truth." But Jasmine responded instantly. "No, I'm showing how you let yourself become a megaphone for enemies of progress. You didn't stumble into this. You've chosen this path, speech after speech, check after check." Owens' team reportedly tried to end the segment early, sensing that the narrative had fully escaped their grasp. But the cameras were still rolling, and Jasmine still had more to say. "We're in a moment where misinformation spreads faster than truth," she said. "And when someone with a platform as big as yours starts parroting anti-black, anti-American rhetoric, especially when it's bought and paid for by outsiders, that's not freedom. That's betrayal." Then she looked directly at the camera, talking not just to Candace, but to every viewer watching, whether live or on replay. "It's not enough to say what feels good. It's not enough to be bold. You have to be right. You have to be honest. You have to be accountable. If you're going to call yourself a leader, then you better know who's standing behind you and who's pulling the strings." The comment section exploded. Political analysts, influencers, and average viewers alike began flooding social media with quotes, clips, and stunned reactions. She just ended Candace in one sentence. Weaponized, and this wasn't just a takedown. It was a turning point. When the cameras finally stopped rolling, the internet didn't. What Jasmine Crockett had done in a matter of minutes sent shockwaves far beyond the studio walls. It wasn't just about a personal feud or a fiery exchange between two public figures. This was something bigger, a cultural moment, a political reality check. And for many viewers, it was the first time they saw Candace Owens stripped of her usual control. Clips from the segment went viral within the hour. Political commentators, news outlets, influencers, and even celebrities began weighing in. The hashtags told the story. Hashtag Crockett exposed Candace. Hashtag Foreign Agent Gate. Hashtag Jasmine wins. And hashtag Candace Unraveled all shot up into trending territory. Even traditionally conservative voices took notice. A few began cautiously suggesting that Owens needed to clarify her affiliations and address what was laid bare on live television. Some supporters stood by her, but many, for the first time, were quiet, stunned into silence by how convincingly Jasmine had dismantled the facade. On the other side, Crockett supporters were celebrating. They weren't just proud, they were energized. To them, she wasn't just another politician defending her platform. She was a truth teller in real time, holding someone accountable not with insults, but with facts. And that's what made it so powerful. The press had a field day. Headlines like, Jasmine Crockett delivers political knockout to Candace Owens. Receipts and reality. Crockett's live call-out stuns a nation. Candace Owens rattled by foreign agent allegation. No clear denial issued. For Candace Owens, the fallout was immediate. Her team issued a vague statement later that night, accusing leftist media of taking things out of context and framing her engagements as something they weren't. But there was no denial of the receipts Crockett presented, no refutation of the video played, no explanation for the think tanks with documented ties to anti-black rhetoric. The public noticed the silence between the lines. Meanwhile, Jasmine was calm, composed, and clear in every follow-up interview. She didn't gloat. She didn't trash Owens. She let the facts speak for themselves. On one radio show, she simply said, I didn't go in there to destroy anyone. I went in to defend truth. And if someone gets exposed in that process, that's on them, not on me. That's why this hit differently. It wasn't a flashy argument filled with insults. It was a fact-driven moment that peeled back the layers and showed the audience what's really going on beneath the headlines. And viewers didn't forget. In the days that followed, people began digging deeper into who funds who. They started questioning who really benefits when voices like Candace's are amplified by global networks with questionable agendas. It wasn't just about Candace anymore. It was about the bigger machine. What Jasmine Crockett did, calmly, sharply, and fearlessly, was give people the blueprint for how to challenge misinformation and manipulation in real time. She didn't yell. She didn't get emotional. She stayed focused, armed with proof, and let the weight of the facts crush the noise. This moment will be studied, remembered, replayed again and again. And while Candace may continue her media appearances, she'll do so knowing the mask was cracked wide open, not by anger, not by emotion, but by the one thing she couldn't talk her way around, the truth. So now it's your turn to speak. Do you think this was just a heated debate or a moment of revelation the country needed? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Union Show, and share this story. Because when the truth hits live, the echo can't be silenced. Union Show, where truth meets fire.